A new film is making its debut at the Tribeca Festival tonight. Killing Castro tells the story of Fidel Castro's visit to New York in the 1960s. Al Pacino, Diego Boneta, and Logan Marshall-Green joined several others in bringing that story to life. Now, you may know Logan as Pete Calvin, or Cal, in the CBS series Marshals. Fans are already eagerly awaiting season 2 after that May finale. Let's take a look at what you may have missed in the last episode.
Okay, Rainwater, Mo, and Tater settled in. What'd y'all learn?
Okay, we got IDs on the crew that hit East Camp. They're all Spec Ops vets.
And the team leader, his real name is Lance Blaine. He's South African. The other dead men are foreign, too.
Okay, so you got international mercenaries going after Rainwater.
Killing's all you're good at. That work will find you.
Their service records don't overlap. I can't find a connection.
Yeah, financials show the same shadowy payments like to the Trail Keepers after bombing the rally.
Yeah, which led us nowhere.
Always comes back to follow the money, right? And joining us on set today to talk about all of his exciting projects coming up is Logan Marshall-Green. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So we'll talk about Marshals in a second, but I want to start with Killing Castro. I'm curious what it was like to film a period piece, and obviously something that has started to come up, you know, Cuba in the news right now. This feels like a very sort of fortuitous time for this to be coming out. What was that like for you?
Well, you know, while we were shooting it, it was a little bit of a different climate with Cuba. I think that everyone's pretty aware and attached to the production about what's going on, and it feels very germane right now. But it's a story that encapsulates a time, you know, that is kind of an older New York. It's definitely a New York story, and you know, it's got an incredible cast, and I'm really glad to finally see it. I actually haven't seen it yet. I'll see it tonight.
You haven't seen it yet?
No,
that's always fun when you get to see it for the first time. And this isn't the only chance to see you on the big screen. You're also in The Odyssey, which we are obsessed about, which we've been talking a lot about. We're going to record a podcast on this. I was very lucky enough to see Christopher Nolan. I went to one of the last tapings of Colbert, and Christopher Nolan was on, and he talked about the film, and he talked about his vision for it. What's it like to be in a film with all of these incredible actors, with probably one of the great auteur directors of our time?
Well, you know, you're very aware of, at least if you've been in the business long enough, of, you know, where the business is going. And if you've been on enough sets, you realize the way they shoot, the cameras, and just, you know, the mediums are all changing. But when you get on a Chris Nolan set, you realize that it's the tip of the spear of filmmaking. It's at a forefront that's just pointed in a completely different direction than the rest of filmmaking in many ways.
How would you describe that for me?
Well, just simply you're shooting on film.
Yeah.
You're shooting on 70 millimeter horizontally fed IMAX cameras, and the approach to film is just simply different than a lot of other filmmakers, and also just the intention behind it, of how it's going to be presented. So you're very aware that you know, he's doing something right now that is really dying in a lot of the ways we make film.
I mean, it's certainly going to be a huge movie. I think my husband and I are going to try and go opening night if we can. But I do want to go back to Killing Castro for a second, because that's also a movie that has an incredible cast, Al Pacino. But it is a different, I feel like, in that it's not a gigantic blockbuster. You know, it is not a sequel of a superhero. It's a very specific message. What do you want audiences to take away from it when they watch it?
Well, you know, I want certainly audiences to start thinking about our relationship with other countries and how our government approaches other countries. I think that's important, especially right now. You know, I play, you know, a very well-known non-fictional mob-related man who actually had ties to Hollywood as well, John Roselli, and
yeah, he's a real guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I thought you said fictional.
Non-fictional.
Roselli, everybody,
Yeah, so he and all those characters are real, and it happened, and you know, I think it's important that, you know, it's one of those stories that you can ask yourself when you leave the theater: did we learn from, you know, our choices or not? You know, or are we still making those same mistakes?
It's the director Alf Rivera. It's one of his first films. It's his first feature film. So juxtapose that with what you just described, working on the Odyssey on 70mm film with the biggest cameras ever invented for a movie versus, and yet you're still with a major star like Al Pacino on this film, which is directed by a first-time director.
Well, both of these auteurs and, Eve create, when it comes to Chris Nolan or Al Pacino or Eves, who directed Killing Castro, the approach is actually very similar. It's a kind of an independent, it feels like you're shooting an independent film. There's not a lot of ducks on the pond, as you would say, looking over shoulders. And you're really just trying to come up with the shots. And while there's like a language that's been built, you're really seeing kind of a similar approach through truly, Nolan approaches his films almost like an independent film.
Wow.
Really exciting. I'm excited to see all of the projects and, of course, Marshall's season 2. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.